Uncle Webb is back. Going to do a little bit different video today. I'm going to be talking about big college spenders in college football, and we're going to use an article from 2024, and then we're going to use a more recent one from 25 about spending. You know, Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia like to develop high school talent and pepper that in with a few portal guys. You know, a guy's one of the biggest donors at Texas Tech, said it famously a while back that, the blue bloods in college football are going to change because they just don't have the money that Indiana and all the Texas schools have, and they can't outspend us. And, some of those schools do have big money. They have a lot of money. I think some of the SEC schools are going to have to step up in more fundraising. But just because you have a massive bankroll is not going to get you championships year in and year out, year in and year out. It's just not. Now, I do think that the hidden part of it is getting those guys in the portal to really, really help your guys and get some of those pieces and maybe, portal pieces. But like I said, the biggest spenders are the ones that have some of the biggest payroll, bar none, are, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, and Oregon. Well, last I looked, they're not winning championships. Now, if you look at the teams that have won, the last three teams have been Big Ten teams. Yes, they do have money, but the one theme I keep saying that nobody's talking about is all those teams, they had guys, the majority of those guys played together for 3 years. They had brotherhood, they had camaraderie. They had all these things that build a great championship team, and they had the depth. And I know that depth is not what it used to be for a lot of programs, especially like for Alabama and Georgia, because you can't build depth like that anymore because of NIL. And I get it. The kids need to get paid. Make it happen. Now, I do think that if you look at the biggest spenders, it's not always, those teams will win. I mean, Texas Tech has been quick in and out of the playoffs, and they have one of the biggest rosters year in and year out. So it doesn't buy you championships, compared to what some of these guys think. They can just throw money at there and then, well, we can get all these mercenaries and we'll just automatically win. It doesn't work like that. Now, like I said, not to beat a dead horse, but those teams all had that same thing in common, which was they had guys that were older and they had played together for 3 years, and they had all these things. They had all these things and pieces together. We're going to go through some old articles and then a new one, kind of get y'all's take. The first article I'm going to go with is from 247wallstreet.com. This was put out October of 24. And these are the top 15 schools with the biggest money donors. Michigan was number 15. Their amount that year was $493 million. Obviously, their biggest donors were Robert Kaiser, Chuck Nealing, Carrie Lou Courier, and Chris and Gary Johnson with Michael Reed. The number 14 was Tennessee. They had $386 million. Their biggest donors were Jimmy Haslam, Charles Ergen, and then the Tennessee Volunteers Club. Virginia Cavaliers, they were number 13. This one actually surprised me. I didn't know this. They raised $516 million, and their biggest donor was the Virginia Athletics Foundation. The Crimson Tide was number 12. They raised $528 million. Their biggest donors were the Bryant Society, Crimson Legacy, Crimson Alliance, Crimson Circle, Mike and Kathy Moran, and Hugh F. Curvelhouse Sr. Ohio State, no surprise, number 11. They raised $536 million. Biggest donors were the Ohio State University Buckeyes Club. Florida State Seminoles, they raised $540 million. Biggest donors were the Bowden Society, Miko Society, Custos Lampetus Society, and the Seminole Student Booster. Auburn Tigers, actually, this surprised me. There is two billionaires in the state of Alabama, but they're both Auburn boosters, but has not won them championships. We'll just say that. They raised $580 million. Their biggest donors are Jimmy Rain, the Louder family, and Harbert family. Oklahoma Sooners at number 8. They raised $597 million. Biggest donors were Brian and Kim Ray and the D.O. family. LSU was number 7. They had 618 million. The biggest donors were Richard Lipsey and Todd Graves. Oklahoma State was number 6. They raised 670 million. Biggest donors, really shocker here, T-Boone Pickens, the Malone and Amy Mitchell, William S. Smith, and the Patterson family. Georgia Bulldogs, number 5. They raised 716 million. Biggest donors were the Abraham Baldwin Society, Luther and Susie Harrison Foundation, and the John and Alice Sands Foundation. This one kind of shocked me. Number 4, Florida Gators. They raised 763 million. Biggest donors were Gary Condren, the Gators Boosters, Inc., and John J. Tigert Society. Shocker here. Number 3 is the Texas Longhorns. They raised 766 million. Biggest donors, Longhorn Foundation. Another shocker here. Number 2 is Texas A&M Aggies. They raised 849 million. Biggest donors were the 12th Man Foundation, Legacy Society, W.K. Kellogg Foundation, Sam Richardson Foundation, Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. Wow. Massive hitters there. Big hitters there. Wow. And shocker here, the number 1 is the Oregon Ducks. They raised 696 million. Biggest donor, wow, shocker, Phil Knight, the Oregon Athletic Boosters Club, and the Duck Athletic Fund. So that was one of the bigger articles I found on it. Another really good one I thought was for 2025. Another one was, this article was published in December of, obviously, 2025 recently. They've got Nebraska at number 10. Now, this article is to deal with how much these programs are worth. Nebraska is 1.6 billion. Alabama is, and that was number 10. Alabama's at number 9 at 1.9 billion. USC at 8, 1.10 billion. Tennessee at 7, 1.12 billion. Notre Dame, 1.3 billion. I figured they would be a little bit higher up on the list. Michigan at 1.16 billion. Georgia, number 4 at 1.16 billion. You got Texas A&M at 1.32 billion. Ohio State, number 2 at 1.35 billion. Shocker here, Texas at 1.48 billion. That was another good article, and I think one of the last articles I had was by CBSSports.com. The title of the article is, which 2025 college football playoff teams have the most money, breaking down the field's NIL spending power. Elite spenders, they have Ohio State. Then they got Oregon, obviously, Texas Tech. We've talked about them in this video too. Miami, they spend a lot of money. Texas A&M, shocker. And those are the elite spenders, right? Like I said, now your big spenders are Ole Miss in there. Then they've got Alabama at good, not as elite as you think, because we have a little bit different approach at it. Under the goods but not elite, obviously, are Georgia. You've got Oklahoma as well. Solid spender is Indiana. I trust this article. And the other 2 spenders that Group of 5 are pretty good for Group of 5, obviously, are Tulane and JMU. And I trust this article because obviously it was published in December of 25, and we're only in February of 26. So I definitely see that. And it kind of breaks it down where we're at on all this. Yep, it definitely helps. But, you got to look at high school recruiting and everything else that goes with it. So just thought it was something cool to break down for you guys. Throw your thoughts and comments in the field. Definitely don't think Alabama's broke when I threw out the totals from 24. And, Bryant alone, Paul Bear Bryant Jr.'s alone is 500 million plus. Like I said, we, as in Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State, just go about it differently. And like I said, just because you got money, I'm not buying the Blue Bloods are going to change because you got money. Now, do you see teams getting more talent because they have more money? Yes, all 3 big Texas teams. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But, like I said, we'll see how it all shakes out. But I do think there is something to be said for those kids that play together for 3 years that have a camaraderie ship. We've seen it in the last 3 national championships, and we'll see in 2026 who wins it. We'll break it down and see at the end of the year. Just thought it was cool and something to mull over for the day. Anyway, Tide Taco Web is out.